Basically, the punishment fits the crime, and your punishment, which has kind of been openly expressed to you, doesn't fit the crime.
It's funny, too, because people are saying I'm obsessive and insane. Why? Because I'm doing something they don't like. Yet when I call them the same, I'm an idiot. When I do the same, I'm an idiot. Why? Because these people are pathetic and don't like it. They don't want the truth.
People are calling you obsessive and insane because you refuse to leave Slimmers alone. It's one thing to make a video, but you have shown that you went after Slimmers so much that you've been blocked by her on both platforms. You even admitted in this video that you had to view Slimmers' Instagram to get that screenshot of her stories with an alternate account.
I mean, probably also because he's reading into things so incorrectly and contradicting the flow of events to suit his narrative so much that it is kind of a thing that an obsessive person does.
Not to mention, you've been advertising this video as a biased narrative specifically against Slimmers, despite saying both did wrong. Another kind of obsessive thing. So obsessive, in fact, that you've ignored all the other things that Madame has done because you know it would outweigh her.
Everyone says that I'm insane! Guy, wouldn't a sane person start to question their sanity at that point?
Side note, it is rather upsetting Madlib won't be making a response. I wonder what she has to say. She's blocked me. I didn't lie about Slimmers, nor have I lied about her in general. I never claimed to have her number. I said I had her county court case, which was provided by OMG, IJ, however, or James. He provided it. It's a YouTube video, so...
Okay, for one thing, you absolutely suck at cluing people in on what's going on. You know that unless someone was intimately aware of the situation and what you've been doing on Twitter, they would have no idea what you were talking about, right? For another, not only does this ignore the context of the tweet where you were apparently, according to you, directly asking people to send you Slimmers' docs information, or at the very least, information so personal that you could have used it to dox her, you're also ignoring that apparently the information you were able to get came as a result of a bad censoring job on OMGIJ's part, and that it's kind of creepy that the one guy this obsessed with taking Slimmers down has gone out and found that document. That really just showcases how dangerous it could have been for Madame to have actually succeeded in doxing Slimmers.
How did you not realize that Slimmers may not have known about the bad censoring as it was OMG's job, and approaching her with her county and case files wouldn't be creepy as shit? That is sick. Also, can we just point out the god-awful way this guy presents his screenshots? Like, what is this supposed to be? Who is talking? Who's tweeting? We know it's you because Ponder and I have seen your tweets, but nobody else would know this was you.
Why are you censoring yourself? Where was this even from? Was that screenshot from someone else's video? Why is the formatting such garbage?
Who's talking in the lower part? We can't see who the comment came from. Did it come from this Madlibs person you're talking about? This whole screenshot looks pointless because there's no context for anything. We don't even know where this screenshot is from because it's cropped in such a weird way. It could be Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
If you agree with doing the right thing for justice, if you believe that all justice should be served, if you believe that the truth, not just fragments of the truth, but the entire truth should be out, you'll support me. You'll like this video. You won't continue this. You won't deny the truth. You'll accept
Oh, cool.
If you disagree with me, you're wrong. If you don't agree with what I say here, even if you provide reasons for it, you're wrong. And above all, if you don't agree
Nice.
with it, you don't agree with the truth.
Hey, Platimus.
Even the logic
Dude.
is if you think the Madame should be harassed,
Chica. How you been, girl?
Stupid. By that logic, there
Thanks,
could be
girl.
a billion people who agree that it's not okay to harass Madame, but if one person disagreed and went out of their way to harass her, then by what you are presenting here,
Cool.
it is then justified for you to harass Slimmers. And even then, why should it not be the reverse? You think that if people you like can have their lives ruined, that justifies the lives of people you don't like also being ruined. So why would this only apply to you? You think it's okay to harass Slimmers, so why could other people not dare and use that knowledge to say it's then okay to harass Madame because she did so much worse? Your logic is predicated on you and only you getting what you want because it's what you personally, as a 16-year-old boy who isn't even fully mentally developed, believe is right. This is ridiculous. You are being a child.
Because we all know a shitstorm's coming my way. I know for a fact I'm going to get a crap hate. I know for a fact, even if I post a future video that has nothing to do with this, it's going to be affected by this because that is how pathetic people are in this world.
I mean, by your own logic, people are allowed to attack you until you apologize. Isn't that what you said you were going to do until Slummers apologized? That this isn't going to stop? Yeah, weird how that's something you're allowed to do when it's against someone you don't like. If it's you, then that means people are sheeple. God, it's so obvious that you're 16.
Also, I think it's more pathetic when someone continues to vilify someone else over their own misconceptions of evidence, despite the fact they had already apologized before. I also think it's extremely pathetic to not take into consideration an opposing party's point of view and block everyone out like a child covering their ears and screaming. We have listened to you, but you sure as hell won't listen to us.
Anyways, you all, take care. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay too. My Instagram and Twitter are linked down below.
So then what was the fucking point of the case files? He just has them, I guess.
You know, I'm not familiar with this game, but I hope that Akumu's playing as All For One because the personality tie-in would be so perfect, I could laugh myself to sleep tonight.
So,
Hold up, everybody, there's fucking more!
I messaged OMGIJ252, the YouTuber, on Twitter, and you were talking about the situation with Slummers and Madam, and I let him know of the evidence that I found. He responds with, okay, I'm gonna try not to be biased. Claire was a fan of Madam. She told me herself she was, and after watching her hospital video, she drew fan. She did not tell Madam's correct age. She did it because regardless of actually being one of Claire's favorite YouTubers, she didn't want to give a stranger her age on the internet. She did later on tell Ashley the truth though. Slummers didn't have PayPal because she doesn't have a bank account to store PayPal, which we know.
Okay, firstly, you already stated that her age was in her bio. This is according to your own video. Knowing that her age was in her bio, why would Slummers try to hide her age? And even then, yeah, not telling someone your age online because they're a stranger is kind of a good reason to lie about your age.
Secondly, you're asking a third party about what another individual experienced? I don't care if they're friends or if they know each other. This is all still hearsay.
Thirdly, Slummers already stated that she told Madame her age. You have, up until this point, demanded proof of that, alongside firmly stating that she did not tell Madame her age, despite the fact that you have absolutely no evidence to support this claim. Now OMGIJ is telling you that Slummers did tell Madame her age without offering proof, and now you're believing it? Or conceding that it could potentially be true, despite not only operating as though it was firmly not true throughout this entire video, rather than just something there was no evidence for or against, but also OMGIJ got the information that it was true from Slummers. So you don't believe a claim if it comes directly from Slummers, but if it's offered up by somebody else who was likely told by Slummers, then you'll consider it? It's almost like you have a firm, unabashed bias against Slummers, and whatever she said wouldn't fucking matter.
It should also be noted that OMGIJ states that Slummers originally did not give Madame the correct age and then did, but once again provides absolutely no evidence of this. Is that the reason why you're entertaining hearsay that doesn't have any evidence? Because it confirms your preconceived notion that Slummers initially lied about her age?
Even if he's not believing that part, and he's just believing OMGIJ when he says that she lied about her age initially and later corrected it to Madame, that contradicts Madame's own retelling of events, where she said that she assumed Slummers was older because she mentioned that she was prepping for college, indicating that Slummers did not claim herself to be older, and it was an assumption on Madame's part.
Claire brought up her self-story because Madam said she faked it. You think Claire should be punished for faking her age and cancel culture, but you dig through a private case all because you want a point. I don't know how anyone else feels, but to me that's stupid. Then he sends another message saying Claire also told me that Madam did eventually credit her for a short period of time, but after the situation escalated, it was removed. All I'm going to say at this point is that going through her case is wrong, and her entire case is her business. She may have shared it to various YouTubers, but she only showed us to prove a point, not for anyone to score for her private records and stuff. So you're telling me that someone underage is going to tell a stranger on the internet, let alone following, let alone known to occasionally be toxic. I mean, she's a Leafy rebrand, or a Leafy clone, if you will. She's going to tell that person her sexual assault story in 2 weeks of knowing her. She can't tell them that she's 15.
Oh yeah, and I guess let's just ignore that OMGIJ states that Slummers clarified to him that Madame did fix the credit when you've been claiming that she was not making an effort to make sure people knew that. Sure, let's just glance over him blatantly stating that she did the thing that you claimed she wasn't doing.
Not all sexual assault victims are going to act the same. And Slummers stated that she did it as a method of sympathy because Madame admitted in the hospital video she made fan art for that she was also a victim. How is it so odd for Slummers to do this to an individual of trust, but not for Madame to tell her decreasing 50K audience of strangers?
I would also like to point out, and God, nobody get offended by my wording here, a sexual assault is kind of a nebulous thing and isn't directly tied to a person as an individual. It's a traumatic experience, but not one of the descriptors that could let someone actively track another person down. Unless it was massively broadcast somewhere. People share their experiences all the time without sharing personal details about their person. People on Reddit write stories about their lives without indicating their age, gender, race, or place of birth unless it's relevant to that story. I don't see why it's so shocking that a person would reveal an experience they went through but choose not to share their age, assuming that's what she did, because Slimmers claimed that she did share her age in a call with Madame, and Madame claims in that same call that she didn't share her age.
A tragedy or traumatic event does not define an individual. Stop acting like it does. Slimmers was also telling solely Madame in a private chat, one person. A person that abused that trust and spread it in a disgusting last-ditch effort to appear the victim. Don't you dare try to equate the two.
How does that make any sense? Now, he's not providing any evidence, so I have nothing but his word on this that she told her.
When has that stopped you before?
Emotions also don't have to make sense, especially when it comes to teenagers feeling them with a shuffle button on.
But I am trying to contact Madam, as I already have spoken with her once. I'm trying to contact her again to see if she can provide me with evidence that she didn't tell her age.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant. Ask someone to prove a negative. Evidence 101, guys. You don't prove a negative. You provide evidence for a positive claim. In this case, I told her my age was a positive claim made by Slimmers in response to Madame indicating that she didn't know how old the artist was. So he's not even going to the right person in trying to prove this negative, on top of the fact that you can't even do that to begin with. Even then, both Madame and Slimmers have claimed
Usually the smoke bomb only works for, like,
so we already know
other stuff.
that no evidence for either claim exists on either
wait a
side.
minute.
This is where credibility comes into play, and Madame has already demonstrated that
what
her
I think it
credibility
is.
is unreliable. This is Akumu's biggest
Oh,
problem. He keeps approaching his
there's
arguments through proving
other
negatives
stuff down
rather
here.
than proving positives. Slimmers doesn't have a copyright. This assumes that because he didn't see it or that it wasn't mentioned, it doesn't exist. Slimmers did not tell Madame her age. This requires the entire conversation history between Madame and Slimmers be analyzed rather than simply providing proof of the positive, which has already been indicated does not exist. Slimmers did not mention this fact in her Instagram stories. This requires all of the Instagram stories from that time be taken into consideration, but Akumu only provided a single slide from one of them. Akumu is arguing backwards from a negative stance, and a negative claim only works if you can provide proof of impossibility or evidence of absence, neither of which you have managed to do. Your arguments have even been disproven with these methods, like when we showcased that it was impossible for the screenshot you claim and cited the docs to have done so because it didn't exist at the time. Or how about how the absence of evidence for either of Madame or Slimmers' claims regarding what age or lack of age was given does not prove that either account did or did not happen.
Now, I don't know where people got off with this. Like I said, if you watch the intro, I mean, obviously, if you watch the video, you see the intro. People are saying I doxed her. I don't know where people got off with that.
People weren't saying that you doxed her. They were saying don't dox her. Because based on your tweets, it's what they assumed you were trying to do. You had her case files and counting and was asking what her number was on a public forum.
But honestly, this makes it so much worse for Claire or Slimmers. I mean, the fact that you never mentioned in your video that Madam, even though it says right here, Claire also told me that Madam did eventually credit her for a short period of time, but after the situation escalated, it was removed. The fact that you didn't even mention the fact that Madam corrected it and then removed it because of the cancel culture, and every other YouTuber never mentions this, except for in Nani's video, after the drama had already gotten to the point of doxing, it just shows that she didn't care, let alone, nor did you care about telling that information.
Hey, Akumu, guy who said that he looked over Slimmers' Instagram and, in particular, the story where she made the claim against Madame? Yeah. You missed this part. Can't shock to nobody, I have the entire story. This screenshot, if you read it, is the conversation between Madame and Slimmers indicating that Madame was correcting the mistake. This same section of conversation that she read off in Nani's video, which you acknowledge was her making note of the information. So Slimmers presenting the same information in her original Instagram story doesn't count as her making this information publicly available. The story indicates that there was a problem, that Slimmers commented, they talked it out, both apologized, and everything was made good. She even indicates in the description of the Instagram story that the situation had been fixed. It's right there. So what's your excuse here, Kumu? At this point, your main complaint is that Slimmers' original Instagram story, the one that incited a mob against Madame, didn't clarify that Madame fixed the credit. Yet here, as we can plainly see, it did. And had you actually gone to her Instagram and gone over the original story, as you claim, you would have seen this. So what gives? Did your bias just make you blind for a few minutes? Is this the truth we were all afraid of?
Complains a lot in his comments and nobody watched his video. It's super clear you didn't watch anybody else's. Ponder and I mentioned our respective videos and laughed our asses off because it was stupid. Mind you, Ponder's video came out after this, but mine was posted nearly a whole 2 weeks before both. Madame said it in her video, which everyone saw there was evidence of, and Nani's video in the 8 minutes of unedited footage. You can literally see where the credit is mentioned. Oh my god! Are you just actively trying to ignore everyone else's points, or is this part of your throw act?
You know, on top of evidence being nice to include in videos where you're making points, examples are good too. Just saying, you gave examples on who made good videos, that being Nani and Hopeless Peaches. Why didn't you cite some people who made bad videos so we actively knew who you were talking about and what their potential offenses were?
I think those were the only 2 videos he bothered to actually watch to a certain extent. Either that or he's hiding a bunch of shit on purpose and is being maliciously dishonest just to get his way.
Also, if you acknowledge that you don't have the evidence to address certain things, why'd you put out the video? Wouldn't it have made more sense to wait until you got into contact with the person you were trying to get into contact with, or at least save the issue for later and specify that you were waiting for confirmation on it? There's nothing wrong with waiting to see the whole picture. Wouldn't have fucking helped on this point though, because you're wrong. We can prove that you're wrong, meaning that you either said something that you knew was wrong because you claimed that you checked over the Instagram story, which would mean that you lied, or you didn't check it as thoroughly as you would have led people to believe, which means that you were either being deceptive or you lied. Wow, you and Madame really do fit together nicely.
That information was out there. The drama might be less. It might have been lessened. Slimmers may have not have. It would have gone to this point to where I've had to look into the case.
Actually, no, it wouldn't have, because it was there. Whoops.
You made it so much worse. You made it so much worse.
Oh, yeah, that's basically how we all reacted to Madame's video. And that's basically it. The last half minute is just him saying he's done and animating his head onto one of the antagonists from Parasite, which is super weird, I might add, because his profile pic at the time was the protagonist from Parasite. Like, what?
We made it! We survived with most of our brain cells intact.
Too bad we're not entirely done.
Curses!
Ultimately, what can be said? That Madame ended up being a lot more in the wrong for using artwork that she hadn't even asked the artist to use, and lied by saying it was a commission when it was actually fan art.
Not to mention the fact that this is a repeated behavior. I had a chat with the other artist in question named Mozapua, who alleges she also had credit. There was even supposedly a witness to this. Also, the D'Angelo video that was briefly mentioned had another artist who claims to have been scammed by Madame.
There's also the fact that Akumu totally mixed up the definitions for trademarks or patents with artistic copyrights,
which takes 5 seconds to Google to check.
Then there was the misconstruing of the timeline and making the claim that Madame attempted to dox Slimmers in response to a targeted harassment campaign by Slimmers, when that couldn't have been possible based on when the attempted dox actually happened.
And a bunch of really shittily grab screenshots, a lot of which are out of context to serve a narrative.
And there's even the guy's behavior behind the scenes. He actually had his Twitter taken down multiple times for harassment and transphobia and is currently ban evading with a new account.
Plus that thing on Instagram. I don't know if it's funny or sad how this guy seems to have a different argument on each platform. He says in the video he's trying to be fair, but openly admits to being biased in the comments.
He said on Instagram that he doesn't insult or attack people unless they do it to him first, but his first interaction with Slimmers was him saying, "Hey, you're the dumbass artist everyone is talking about."
He says that cancel culture is bad, but actively participates in it and has noted that he doesn't care if it happens to people he doesn't care about, even if the claims were proven false.
Let's also not forget that even though Akumu claimed that he wasn't going to defend anything that Madame actually did, he did create stipulations that removed her responsibility and the offenses that people were getting onto her for. He claimed that what she did wasn't art theft, but then failed to provide an accurate substitute for what it was, even then that intended substitute simply being a synonym of what people were saying she'd done. He partially validated her reasoning for attempting to dox Slimmers by stating that it was in response to a targeted harassment campaign that Slimmers had already directed towards her, and this is even further exemplified if you're are aware that Akumu conducted an interview with Madame where she claims, without proof, that she already knew the number was fake, which Akumu provides validation for, which he also could not prove at the time. Don't worry, I'll get to that in my next upcoming project. And finally, he tried to make the claim that Slimmers didn't actually own the copyright to her artwork, and therein Madame was not doing anything wrong by using non-copyrighted artwork in her videos, which is just even dumber when you consider that he spent so long trying to convince us that the proper terminology for what happened was plagiarism, that being a violation of intellectual property rights, except if Akumu was right and Slimmers didn't own her artwork, then it wouldn't be plagiarism and wouldn't be a violation of intellectual property rights, because there would not have been intellectual property rights to violate. So once again, despite saying that he wasn't going to defend Madame, the stipulations and reasoning he presents in this video effectively remove her of almost all responsibility in this situation and tries to prove that she basically did nothing wrong. Akumu, not only did you set out to make it seem that Madame was less in the wrong, but only prove that Slimmers was less in the wrong, you can't even be consistent in what your goal is with this video. Now, Akumu has made note that the indication of it being credit theft and not plagiarism was a mistake, which is all fine and dandy, minus the fact that upon figuring out that this was a mistake, he made no effort to correct this either in editing the video or in the video's description itself. That was something Nezzy and I had to figure out by going to the comment section, and if he tries to say that this was a mistake he corrected to people personally in the comments and that excuses the mistake, then that should also be applied to Slimmers, as she also made an effort to correct misunderstandings in the comments of her original call-out post on Madame. Except with Slimmers, it was a result of audience misunderstanding and not her directly using the wrong word. This is made into even further a problem when you consider the fact that Akumu himself has acknowledged that he has deleted comments made on this video, which effectively means that he could have corrected some people in the comment section regarding him meaning plagiarism and not credit theft, but those comments might no longer exist, meaning that they, and the corrections stipulated in his replies to them, would no longer exist for other people watching the video, and those people would not know this unless they commented asking for clarification on the exact same thing.
Even then, how did you not realize the very concept of credit theft went against your whole argument that theft can only apply to physical goods? Credit, by its very nature, is not a physical good, and because of that, credit theft is an oxymoron by your logic.
And even then, plagiarism describes the same thing that people are accusing Madame for. It's just that the wording is different. And I should make note, the thing that Madame is being accused of is digital art theft, which would be along the same lines as credit theft as Akumu has propositioned in this video. It's just that we are not saying that theft can only apply to physical goods. If you want to say that we, from this point on, refer to it as plagiarism, fine, but that actually runs into a different potential problem because plagiarism has a completely different general understanding from what was being discussed here. Most people think of plagiarism as that thing you get kicked out of college for, so we would have to completely reassess a lot of people's understanding of the word. If we could... Oh, you know what? I've got it. From now on, we'll use the term Viper. Violation of intellectual property rights. V-I-P-R, Viper.
You know what? That actually makes a lot of sense, considering what a snake Madame has been through this whole thing.
There you go, guys. From now on, as artists, let us band together and refer to this sort of thing as people being a viper.
Actually, with the way YouTube is going about demonetizing work, this could even work in the community's favor.
You see? It's a win-win. I think it's safe to say what we can call this guy.
White Knight?
White Knight.
Well, that was a fun video. Farewell for now, my little monsters.
Part 1 was on your channel. This is part 2, and we're on my channel now. Everyone tell Nezzy what we do around these parts. Ready?
I have a bad feeling about this, particularly because I don't carry protection, and I'm subscribed to you.
Feature! First up, we have Octomom, featuring My Nerdy Self by Stefano Satan's Prince, which has an adorable big-eyed Babu being sweet and directing people towards me. I also highly appreciate Nerdy Selves, as my artist is a nerd, and nerds create some of the most fun content around. Look at that big old happy smile. Adorable. Ready to cause a shipping war, we have Submissive by Panda Mochi Rice. The fans are probably so confused, and yet others are like, oh my god, this opens up so many possibilities. Oh, I'm poor little being confused face down in the corner. Man, I really do love the soft romantic vibe in this one. Thrashing around in Akumu's face might be The Tentacles of Hypocrisy by artist Wacky. Ponder, help! I'm sorry, my child, but the tentacles of hypocrisy have found you. The tentacles of hypocrisy are everywhere. They govern and rule over all of us. There is no escaping. All you can do is try to appease them with awesome fun artwork, which Wacky seems to have done, so they should probably be good, really. As a subject subject of idol worship, here's Chubby Queen by Mama Molly, where Cutie Pie is basking in Ponder Sprocket's accurate height and chub. The adorable big eyes are such a draw here, and I love it so much. That along with this smoochy face, I just want to pinch your cute little cheeks. Ready to roll up on them means it's You Like My Clown by Nate Roll20. So, fun note, this whole time I've been looking at this piece like the little dots are Ponder Sprocket's nostrils, but I just realized that they could be eyes, and now my brain is fighting. Either way, yes, thank you, I shall accept Juice Box. Blushing like a sweet bean, here's the Octomama Part 1 and 2 by Hazy Brienne, with some adorable heart eyes and tail wagging to complement the absolutely lovely way that Ponder Sprocket was drawn here. Her strength coupled with Fiend's cuteness is something that I live for, and that paired with the adorable Cutie Pie is perfection. For more hearts, we turn to Sprocket and Me by Hitsuji Torokami, where Ponder Sprocket looks as though she's sneaking up to someone to give a hug. I just imagine her bumping into them from behind, or they back up into her, and there's just the softness of the chest and the strength of the arms. What I'm saying is, you're about to be hugged. Much like the hugging scene in Senpai Noticed Me by Miss Kawaii Pants, where a Cutie Pie has gone full god mode. I imagine many squeaky noises.
You gonna Luma?
I also very much enjoy
Fuck
the
outta
shimmering
here.
around the eyes. I can feel the determination and resolve in this piece. A trait potentially shared in A Fake Thumbnail by Acid Nitram, where I imagine there's a very intense resolve to talk about something incredibly stupid, which is just very appropriate. I'm also loving the pink highlights on everything. That paired with the green and Acid's hair, which of course I approve of, makes everything look really cool. And as a turn of events, we have Dear Pester Ponder by Dear Soviet, where this time it's someone sneaking up on Ponder Sprocket. I'm not entirely sure what's got Dear so interested, but I very much enjoyed the expression they're recording, as well as the way they conveyed Ponder Sprocket's expression. Very nice. Here for a new cosplay session, it's Ponder Lockhart by Lone3x3, where Ponder Sprocket is cosplaying as Tifa, and we've got a background cutie cosplaying as Cloud. I also see that wee bit of drool. You can't hide it from me. Real quick, I just want to say that I greatly enjoy how the hair was colored, and now, insert joke about using that sword. For some penultimate inspiration, we have Embrace Your Old Art by Alistair Fox, where Ponder Sprocket is inspiring a cute little Alistair Fox to embrace what they've made, which is true. Even if your art isn't where you want it to be, it's farther than where you started, and just one more step on your artistic journey. Even if it's not the best, your efforts should still be acknowledged. So keep on smiling, you cutie, and enjoy what you love. And we'll finish off with Octo Girl's Swoon by the Zodiac Lord, where Ponder Sprocket is about to sweep a sweet girl off of her tentacles, and Fiend, oh, that poor boy, he's so confused. Human top with tentacle bottom? What is the chicanery? The adorable blushing surprise is probably the absolutely best thing here. That along with the character's design, because, I mean, she's just really cute, can I just say. If you like any of these pieces, please don't hesitate to give the artist some love with the links that I have provided down in the description. You can also check out Mezzy Monster's channel for a heck of a lot more cool art stuff.
I'm not actually a Loch Ness monster, I swear. Don't believe the fake news. Wonder, why did you do this to me?
My links are also down in the description if you're so inclined. And with that, Octomama out. Apparently got that done with. On to the next awkward happened in life. Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Welcome to the dark. Welcome. We have fun.
Please do not harass or attempt to intimidate any of the people mentioned in this video. Ponder Sprocket commentaries are intended as critiques of situations or behaviors based on the information available. They are meant to showcase previously unexplored perspectives, demonstrate wrongdoings, point out contradictions and misinformation, or dispel false narratives so that others may come to an informed opinion. Under no circumstances is targeted harassment appropriate or encouraged. As an additional note, while this video discusses legality, please remember that we are not lawyers, and thus this video is an exploration of a situation based on what we personally understand or were able to find out. Don't take it as solid legal advice. Oh, that was good. Finally got that done with. On to the next. What happened to mine? Hello? Hello? Stay back if you know what's good for you! I have tentacles!
Ponder! The frick!
For all that is wicked and sullied in the world, don't scare me like that, Stone!
I just wanted to help you put a close on the situation.
And you have to do that by giving me a heart attack?
Trust me. That's the least scary I can get. But the evidence I have will scare you even more.
Oh, bringing a call back to Spooky Month, are we? What are we, like, more than halfway through the new year? I can maybe dig it.
So, do you care to join me?
What if I say no?
This scarf can be used for much more than intimidation.
Oh, honey, you know exactly how my content works. Welcome back, my cutie pies, to a final comprehensive look onto the dam situation and the various facets contained within. I imagine some of you are probably thinking, Madame, is she still relevant? And that's fine. Maybe this video just isn't for you. Stone and I, on the other hand, thought it would be interesting to look at the full scope of the entire situation, to go over a couple facets that people may not have taken into consideration, and discuss the theoretical legal ramifications as best as we currently understand them. Not necessarily because we believe that they'll actually come about, but because, and considering this was also Ash's reasoning, surely she'll love this, knowing what sort of legal rights an artist has to protect themselves in instances like this could help smaller creators. So, thanks for that, Ash. You may not have been able to do it with the Onision suit, but you still managed to pull it off. Top-notch 3,000 point IQ teaching method right there. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then hey, you're in luck. This is going to be a 4-parter.
For those who are unaware, we will give a brief summary on the situation. This is a case of stolen art and bonds. This is Madame, now known as Princess Ash.
And despite many people knowing her as Madame, we're going to be referring to her as Ash. Why? Because it makes it easier for those new to the situation. But, incidentally, potentially more confusing to my audience, since I've already done a video about an Ashley, and I will be doing another one regarding another Ash. Right after this. Oh well, you guys don't mind, right?
Princess Ash asked a fan named Slithers to make stills for her, and Slithers agreed on the basis of her getting credit. But the terms weren't exactly rock solid.
Fast forward to when Ash has the final stills and is now, according to her, working on the video in which she will be giving Swimmers the agreed upon shoutout. Ash used some of Swimmers' art in a 50,000 subscriber video, but the credit for that art wasn't given as Swimmers had expected it to be. A quick note on that, Nezzy Monster and I realized that the artwork used in that first thumbnail was actually Swimmers' fan art and not one of the commissioned stills Ash ordered from her.
Obviously, since the fan art she used wasn't a commission, that was either a lie or it was Matt losing track on which video assets she actually paid for. So Slimmers made a small mistake and commented on Ash's video for her artwork. And during that time, she vented on a private Instagram account for venting, where only a very few select people could see anything she posted. A small mistake. We can all agree with you. Ash messaged Slimmers on Discord shortly after, asking why she left a comment instead of just messaging.
The two defense team chose the issue out of the beginning, but the people have pointed out that Ash's side of the conversation appears to be gaslighting, but then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
One of Slimmers' friends commented on Ash's 50,000 subscriber video, the one using fan art and not the commission stills, also asking for credit to be given, and this is where Ash's good favor went.
Ash immediately attempted to cut ties with Swimmers, but later also wanted to continue using the artwork she had commissioned, now firmly making note that she was not going to credit Swimmers, and therein not going through with her side of the commission agreement.
Slimmers decided to contact Ash through Instagram to try to settle things on good terms, and continue to work together. Ash, however, was unwilling to compromise. And within one day, Ash decided to stop Slimmers by releasing a phone number for which had given to her a phone call, because Slimmers did not have a phone number at the time.
The art community heard about the situation, and Ash has since fallen under further scrutiny as a pattern of behavior for attempting to silence minors with threats was brought to light, as well as the potential that she might have lied about a legal situation she had previously spoken of on her channel, which happened to be one of the catalysts behind her channel's boost, bringing her to people's attention in the first place.
There's those legal ramifications of the situation that we will be talking about today, as well as further expanding on the secondary situation with the stolen art. We will also be covering the response and interview part of the 2-hour-long video Ash made, which was copyright strike by Slimmers because Ash used the unpaid post-its.
So it goes how that's good, because there are so many more layers to the situation we have yet to touch on. From here on, we'll discuss the possibilities of a legal battle between Ash and Slimmers. Again, we don't expect this to happen. We're just doing this for smaller creators to learn from.
Firstly, let's list off the offenses that Slimmers could pull against Ash. We have attempted targeted harassment,
That's when a single individual attempts to harass a specific person or organization.
attempted criminal direction of harassment,
That's when an individual tries to get other people to harass a specific person or organization.
then there's the attempted infliction of emotional distress,
This is because Ash would have known that purposely removing credit and continuing to use the unpaid for skills would have inflicted emotional distress to Summers. The as currently perceived gaslighting of Ash's messages to Summers could also be counted in this regard, as well as the potential harassment.
Then there's the plagiarism or copyright infringement.
This refers to the misappropriation of use of copyrighted imagery without the legal right to do so. Thanks for tuning in.
And lastly, there's attempting the release of minors' information online.
So, attempted to.
And for all the questions we imagine you all have, we will get to those next.
Now, we should make note that Swimmers and Ash both have one another's phone numbers. Ash was the only one who actively, within an online platform, attempted to release that number with the intention of directing harassment towards Swimmers directly. Swimmers has done no such thing in retaliation.
There's no guarantee that Swimmers would go ahead with legal proceedings against Ash, and we can't really expect that of a 15-year-old in the first place. Aside from the removal of her video, which Swimmers did recently through the means of copyright, we'll only be looking at the potential consequences that Ash could face, not necessarily the ones that she will face.
Firstly, the harassment. A lot of online crimes involve criminal behavior that crosses state lines, which turns them into federal issues. Ash specified that Swimmers lives in Missouri, and we've heard from Ash herself that she lives in Florida. Equally, the people Ash has been attempting to direct towards Swimmers in harassment campaigns likely live all over the country and potentially outside of it.
Federal laws actually classify harassment as altogether. Criminally, a state of arms stipulates that stalking can be punished with up to a public offense sentence of up to 5 years. A fine of $150,000 or potentially both, obviously depending on the severity and the judge presiding over the case.
In terms of the intentional infliction of emotional distress, there's a little less of a potential case to go with.
Usually, unless there is some sort of recommendation from a psychiatrist for the situation to be taken more seriously, there may not be enough of a case for this single offense to stand on its own ground. Intentional infliction of emotional stress is often put together with more serious matters.
Because of that, it could be up in the air as to whether this particular complaint would go through. On the one hand, there are other offenses to consider alongside it, but...
On the other hand, the intentional infliction was a potentially singular incident.
And it could be reasonably argued that with that release of the phone number, the intention was for that singular incident to ripple upwards and cause additional distress.
It's difficult to say for sure without getting lawyers. However, if there happened to be a case where someone publicly made note that they were harassing Swimmers as a result of the situation with Princess Ash, or it could be argued that they were harassing Swimmers on behalf of Princess Ash, the case could be a tad stronger. Thanks to Humu.
The one thing is doxing, which, I mean, it's clinical offense.
And I'll say it anyway, it's fucking illegal.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where you are. Doxing is illegal all across the board. Now, some of you might be wondering, oh, but Ash didn't actually dox Swimmers. She only tried to. No matter, that's a problem too.
It doesn't develop to get a person in trouble just like succeeding in it. There's a less harsh sentence given as a punishment for it, but the action demonstrates criminal intent and can still be considered harassment, intimidation, invasion of privacy, or even assault in extreme cases.
Doxing can be legally fine in certain situations, provided the information is already publicly available, but the phone number that Ash thought to be Swimmers' personal phone number would not be considered already public information.
Attempting to dox a person's personal phone number, particularly with the intent of harassment, as is likely to be considered, can be counted as either a misdemeanor or a felony. A misdemeanor to be punishable for up to a year in prison, and a felony charge can be up to 3 years in state prison.
We already know the likelihood of it being Ash's intention to harass Swimmers, as she made a direct implication of her want for people to do just that within the Instagram story where she provided the attempted dox information. She tried to be coy about it by saying that she was just giving the number out for people to do with as they please, but a lawyer might argue that it's completely within the realm of possibility that people would read into that wording and easily recognize the intentions behind the post. She implied that Swimmers, as a person, had wronged her and deliberately fabricated the story to act against Ash, thus setting Swimmers up as the villain and wrongdoer. That, alongside with the fact that it would have been Ash's personal following that would have seen and acted on the information provided in the post. She also specifies that Swimmers is a harasser when she gives out the number. If fans were to see the opportunity to give a harasser a taste of their own medicine, it would not be a leap of judgment to think that they would, in turn, attempt to harass Swimmers.
Actually, the fact that one of Ash's later Instagram stories showcased that someone did attempt to use the number and related to her that the number no longer works means that it's not possible that this is exactly what happened.
I think that covers the extent of the known criminal act with regards to Swimmers, right?
From our own understanding, yes.
Too bad we're not done.
Oh, far from it. Swimmers isn't the only one who held precedent for legal proceedings against Princess Ash.
Say that 10 times fast.
I have a speech impediment and you know it. Once I learned about this other situation, I became slightly agitated because it shows that Princess Ash did not learn anything from the Slimmer situation. There have been so many instances of Princess Ash shaming artists. I really think that artists should only show you the sketch and not give them anything more until they get paid, and make sure to put a big ass watermark on it.
Fuck that. Any artist who works with her up to this point knowing all of this and gets scammed had it coming, dumb kid.
Ah, yes, the duality of tits.
Guys, please, I don't actually think you deserve it. Just stop being dumb for like 5 minutes.
So, many of you might be confused what we're talking about. And don't worry, that's not going to change anytime soon. You see, Summers wasn't the only artist that Ash has scammed, attempted to rip off, or spread personal contact information. Luckily, the other artists Ash had wronged did not have all of these things done to them. Only one each, like when you can only take one candy from the candy bar.
Take more than one and you're a monster. That's probably why the Slimmers thing blew up.
Ash used friendship as a veil to get free art from all of these artists, and in some cases, the art wasn't even free. But Ash, as should come to no surprise from anyone, never paid a thing.
The artists we're talking about are known as Kells and Mokafua. Some of you may be aware of the name of Looney Starbun, and while that name will pop up with regards to any potential legal proceedings, it's not because of any slight on Ash's end. I'd wager there are more, but these are the ones we're aware of.
The next artist is Kells, who unfortunately we were not able to get in contact with, but we were able to get in contact with Wang, the guy who actually ended up paying the artist. See, Kells was commissioned by Ash to the tune of $80, but when it came to paying that amount, Ash proved herself to be unreliable. The excuse for this change from it being a bank issue on the 10th of December was being a PayPal issue on the 28th of December. Between then, on the 15th of December, she made the claim that her PayPal would be getting unlocked that day, and that she would be paying both the artist Kells and the video editor, Chiefy, who she ended up having a different issue with. We can't be sure of what happened between then and the 28th, which is when Wayne came forward and offered to pay the artist on Ash's behalf. It should also be noted while Kells was paid $80 for Wayne, Wayne actually paid $127 for the currency conversion.
Mokafua was an artist who'd actually worked with Ash before the Slimmers situation, but after Slimmers and Ash had their falling out, it was Mokafua's turn to be screwed over by Ash. After all of the videos that have been done on Ash regarding the situation with Slimmers, many people came to myself and other creators behind these videos and pointed out that Ash made another video, now on a different artist, effectively claiming that this artist was lying about her as well. Guess how true that one is?
Connie was already reaching out to the artist when the video came out, which was a good call on her part. Ash used this video to push the idea that all artists are liars and scammers. The irony.
Ash actually made my job super easy. Wanna know why? Because Ash revealed, yet again, a direct means for people to contact the artist in her video. Despite censoring Mokafua's name, Ash neglected to censor their business and commission email. And I can prove that this is a direct means of contacting Mokafua because it's how I contacted her and told her about the video existing. Are you aware that Ash just revealed her email in a public video where she claimed that you lied about her and tried to get artwork that she paid for removed from her merch store?
Huh? What the hell? Wow, that's awful. I'm really not exactly sure what to do here. She did pay for one merch design, but I wasn't even gonna bother to try to get back from her. It's not even in her name either. It's in Fan Piper's possession now. She's going off some BS because that's literally what she told me, that the merch art would be in Fan Piper's possession.
Wait, paid for one merch design? Are you saying that there's potentially a second merch design that she was using without paying for? Is that the one you made note of her using without paying? Here's the video. Would you mind filling me in on your side of the story?
I'm watching the video at the moment. I'm absolutely furious at her words. So yes, there is at least one design that wasn't paid for that is being used. I could try getting that piece in a moment. She did ask me if she could use it in her merch, but never actually paid me for it. So my side of the story is a bit short but simple. I had an interest in Ash's content because of her views on how sexism was in the gaming community and how certain women would exploit their gender for attention and money. I joined her Discord server and made gift art. She enjoyed the art that I had made her and asked if I did commissions. I replied saying I do and that I was willing to do merch art for her. She only paid for one piece to be used as merchandise. By the way, her profile picture is my art. She said she'd credit me, and I told her that's fine. Since the Slimmer journal, my credit had been removed with no warning. Since then, I've decided not to associate with her. The only action I did afterwards was try to get her to stop using my art as an icon. I never actually intended to act on getting the merch art back.
So she's flat out lying about it being an issue with the merch? It was only the icon you wanted her to stop using?
Mm-hmm. She's lying about that. I even got someone to do a takedown on her icon and discussed with them that I don't believe I have the rights to take down the merch art because I was well aware I couldn't. I don't know who emailed her agent, but it surely was not me.
Mokafua then went on Twitter thread discussing the situation, showcasing her evidence that she had. In fact, not being able to take down Ash's merch art, just that she wanted the icon, which was her art, to be removed from Ash's channel. Oh yeah, and by the way, Mokafua, is 14 years old, so Ash has yet again revealed a direct means of contacting an artist that she has publicly declared is attempting to fuck her over and who is underage. This is a pattern.
For those who didn't know, I am the person who did Ash's YouTube icon and merchandise. After all the Slimmers drama happened, I chose not to associate with her anymore. As an artist who takes commissions, it upset me how she treated Slimmers. Now, Ash is attempting to slander me for allegedly emailing a Fanfiber agent saying I wanted the rights back to the art, which never fucking happened. I was well aware I don't own those images anymore, but neither does she. Fanfiber does. She told me herself. Evidence here.
Okay, great. I forwarded the sisterhood design to my agent. Under contract, any design I send him, he has legal rights to now. Well, Fanfiber owns it, but they are happy to credit you if you wanted. But obviously, that's no form of payment, so I'd rather just PayPal you. Anyways, I look at your prices. I'll double check later with what matches the cute sisterhood design, and will PayPal you once my agent implements your design into the shop. Additionally, when I announce the new design, I will credit and plug your social media. Please note that this is not a form of payment. I just want you to get more recognition. Does this sound alright to you, or is there anything on your mind? And what's your email to your PayPal? I will PayPal you when the merch goes live.
This is actually another instance showcasing Ash's lack of knowledge of how artistic copyright works. Right here, Ash is making the claim that she forwarded the image to the merch agent, which automatically grants them rights of the piece. But at this point, Ash hadn't paid Mokafua for the design, and therein didn't own it. At this point, Ash didn't have the rights to transfer ownership of that piece, but still sent it out as though she did.
Suddenly, her not understanding that the work she didn't pay Slimmers for still belongs to Slimmers is making a lot more sense.
After Mokafua explained that she didn't originally have a problem with Ash until the Slimmers thing came up, she further explained that it was only the icon she wanted to remove and not the merch, which is what Ash publicly claimed in the video.
The credit thing is, I'd assume, mostly on behalf of the Fanfiber, and I am really unsure of how that could be managed.
That seems fairly complicated, because now there are agents involved doing it and have some DIY merch website. I don't think a DMCA notification on that one. However, I'm going to
Like, I believe the only thing I would take down would be the PFP art. Yeah, and like as I said with other people, I wouldn't know if I'd be able to get back one of the designs considering she's actually paid for it.
I'll say this, she's done it in a really sneaky way.
So it belongs to her if she gave the rights to Fanfiber after.
She's blatantly said, hey, credit. Sort of said, crediting is not a term.
Yeah, again, this is like my first time I've worked with someone like this, so it's iffy.
She did say that she credited YouTube icon. Yes.
Yeah, it's in her Discord server, if that's even still up. She has a tendency to delete servers.
This falls back into the pattern some people have recognized where Ash is pulling minors into either silence or into doing what she wants. She attempts to send people after Slimmers with the number and then made a 3000 IQ video. Now she's made a video claiming that Mokafua is trying to affect her livelihood and has leaked this personal business email in a public video alongside that claim. I mean, I don't know how she keeps managing to pull this kind of shit off.
Now, we won't deny there's the possibility that Ash was maybe just given some bad information. Actually, it's potentially very likely. As well as forgetting to censor Mokafua's email being a mistake and not deliberately done out of malice, as was done with Slimmers. Maybe someone at Fanfiber was emailed about this and they told her that someone was trying to get the merch removed. Except Ash actually provided evidence in the video to showcase that she had the rights to use the merch designs that were allegedly being removed. So why would she not check to see if this claim is actually true before making a public video about it?
Since we're discussing the potential legal proceedings, this actually hurts Ash. Not only did she publicly reveal this 14-year-old artist's business email, it was also paired with the claim that this artist was scamming her, similar to the concept of what she did with Slimmers. And while Ash may not have revealed the direct contact number on purpose, she still revealed her email, which opens the floodgates for potential harassment.
That paired with the fact that Ash is making this public claim about the artist trying to scam her, which Mokafua could prove to not be true, that means that Ash is defaming Mokafua. She's making a false public statement in a video that would affect Mokafua's reputation, and then pairing that with the leaked business email, this action has the potential to affect Mokafua's livelihood and is, again, directed towards a minor.
Given the title of the video was The Art Community Has a Line Problem, all this points to is that it seems like Ash is trying to push the narrative that the artists are spreading around the horrible things that she's done and that they are all lying. But why would she want to make this point? Maybe because it's not just her scheming artists that these art YouTubers are starting to point out and dig into.
And finally, we have Bloomy Starbun, who, yeah, probably can't sue Ash, but Ash could potentially sue her.
We won't go into a whole lot of detail with this, but the artist Lily Starbund, who did work for Ash for a temporary period of time, has allegedly been trying to, what has she been trying to do?
Bandwagon, I guess? Play the victim?
Playing the victim is more accurate. She tried to make the claim that she was one of the artists that Ash has scammed. Originally, she made a video explaining why she was still going to support Ash, only then to be followed up by a video where she claimed Ash was scammed.
I actually got in contact with Lily a while back, asking if she could supply us with the screenshots of her being scammed by Ash. Yeah, guess who magically just happened to not have those specific parts of the transaction?
There have been a lot more things going on with Lumi since then, so much that we're not going to get into it here. It's basically its own drama. So, for your sake, just look up her name, and you'll find a plethora of material listed.
Onision attracted Ash, and now Ash is attracted to Starbund. None of us should be surprised that people with a lying problem who start drama as a result have a habit of attracting other people with lying problems who create more drama as a result. It's like they see someone getting called out for lies and think, oh, I can make myself look better by comparison.
Time to talk about chopped onions.
I can feel myself tearing up already.
Here, you can dry your eyes on my scarf.
So, Onision. Don, what can people say about Onision?
The full context of the situation, Ash claimed on her YouTube channel that she was planning on suing Onision, and this is also what she was best known for. The reason for this is because Ash originally made 2 videos reviewing Onision's music videos. These videos were allegedly struck down because of a copyright violation. Ash also stipulated that these were manual strikes, which means a living person had to have been behind them. Most likely Onision, or Craig as he is otherwise known, which holds up with what people are aware Onision does should anyone make a negative video about it.
Ash really pushed that she was going to sue him for wrongfully terminating her videos, which is admittedly a noble cause. Onision has effectively been socially agreed upon as one of the most controversial YouTubers, and despite his large audience base, he has just as many, if not more, people who actively dislike either his content or him as a person, for various reasons that differ depending on who you ask. It's even to the point that if a new drama cow appears in the YouTube community, they are generally referred to as a variation of Onision, such as J Station being referred to as the Canadian Onision. Yeah, J Station. That guy Ash was going to interview and promote Swimmers next to. Whoops. We won't get to them here, but basically there's a lot of reasons to not like Onision, and obviously this was announced before Onision tried to sue Rexion and Phil Hansen. So people were all too happy when they heard that Ash would finally be the person to take him on in court.
I, for one, was one of those people. I even shouted her out in one of my videos. She marked her Patreon and said that she was opening up special tiers to donate and to help her acquire funds to fly across the country, and sue Greg. I also gave money to this cause, and Ash states that one person nearly funded the whole trip on their own.
Yo, can we get an F in the chat for that
Good.
person?
I'll give them the whole
I'm recording for now because the game keeps, like, cutting out at random parts, so I figure recording is better than live action. What? You're leaning in like you're gonna do something. Get out of my screen! Damn it! Well, give me an ice cream sandwich, please.
On top of her potential unreliable nature, there have also been events broadcasted on her Instagram story that further calls her claim into question.
What calls her claim
We've got
into question
M&Ms.
even further is her deleting all of her Onision videos. Yeah, that.
I'll bring back the Oreos.
That's on November 11th. You can tell because of the giant view dip on her social list. She deleted all of the videos referencing her Onision lawsuit. Now, at this time, Ash was supposed to be in Washington getting ready to sue Onision. According to her, most of the funds that were gathered were for the sake of travel expenses, and she would make travel from Canada to Washington. But in the concert.
Ah, yes, the concert. Fire Nation attacks twice. Ash posted on her Instagram story that she was attending a French Benjamin concert and a 3 Days Grace concert while she was in Washington.
Now, we should specify that tickets for this concert could have been potentially quite inexpensive depending on where she's at. Some tickets could be as cheap as $15.
But people online thought this was her wasting money, and I will actually defend Ash on this. People can live outside of the one thing that they are doing or well known for. But the way she presented herself with her actions before flying out, people thought she was using the money for a free trip to go see music shows. Now, if she actually used the money to travel to Washington for the purpose of the lawsuit, and she just so happened to be enjoying herself while she was there, or on her own dime, or on the dime of a friend, that would be perfectly fine, and she is perfectly within her right to enjoy herself. Especially considering a lawsuit can be a tiring and stressful experience. Sometimes, a little bit might be necessary, and no one should falter for needing it.
We ran into problems because Ash had not been entirely transparent on exactly how much money was raised or where the funds would be going exactly. Furthermore, despite her needing to raise funds for the trip, she made a note on her Instagram that she would be extending her trip, which calls into question the exact nature of the funds. If the money had been crowdfunded for a specific purpose and with specific needs taken into consideration, Ash shouldn't have had the money to be able to extend the trip, especially if you consider that a flight back is usually booked before leaving, and you shouldn't exactly be able to easily change that. There's usually a fine for that, and you would have to buy another ticket home. This implies that Ash had money of her own to spend on the trip, which, depending on how much money that was, begs the question as to why she needed money raised for the travel expenses of the lawsuit in the first place. Ash has also effectively said that because people think she's lying, she's not going to be forthcoming about the nature behind the funds, which, let's be real, that's suspicious as all heck.
Makes Voldemort look like he was an angel sent by the gods.
If people didn't have a reason to call her claims into question before, they certainly did now.
She did claim that she'd been abandoned and she was going homeless before she flew out, but we'll address that first.
If Ash was going to sue Fred, what could she sue him for? Obviously, she could sue him for the false copyright claim against her videos and the lost money that would have been made from them. The amount she was suing for would have been around $2,500.
Now, you might think that if Ash won, she'd be able to use the money that she won from Onision to buy her plane ticket back home. The issue with that is that the court system itself has issues. Onision would not be compelled to pay for her right there and then. The money could even have to be taken from her by sending electors unwilling to pay. So there would be no guarantee Ash would be leaving Washington without being tough. And with Greg's known history with paying people legal shenanigans, he most likely would fight back so hard.
Yeah, the guy threatened to kill himself because his ex-wife was getting alimony from him, and he said it was her stealing from him.
He compared it to slavery.
The guy's not exactly fond of being forced to pay money to people. The allegations surrounding him committing tax fraud should be pretty evident of that already. Now, this would all be pure speculation outside of actually hearing from Ash or checking into Washington's court system to see if anyone had filed a case against someone under one of Onision's potential new aliases or names.
Guess what I did? I was originally going to do this plan with someone else. No offense, Father.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Shuka. I'm Stone. I decided to find evidence that would stand on my own so that my videos. I decided to look through the court records on our own video names, and there were a lot. I removed any original names out of Greg's, got the mine's last name in the wetlands to make sure I didn't get any false positives. We also searched various potential aliases or changed names that he might have.
While a lot of names did come up, they were from a variety of different dates, so it was just a matter of finding any court date within the time frame that Ash either could have filed a case against Onision or for when she claimed to have filed a case against Onision.
For October, any date that had Greg's name were in the most recent, in August.
There was one recent case filed for October 7th, which would have actually been very close to the date Ash described in her Apology for Everything video, which we are going to be looking at later.
Spoilers, it's not an apology.
After we double-checked the names again, I called the Washington Court District to check on the one case filed for Gregory Montez Jackson for October 7th. Only to find out that it wasn't even a small claims case, it was a stupid freaking parking ticket. It had to have been after June 21st when Ash initially claimed to have filed a case against Onision, but we can't find any records of this suit despite her saying she had been working on it for 3 months. At the time that this video was originally scripted. She said that she was preparing the papers August 27th, 2019, and her non-apology video was her claiming that she had a friend record her walking into the courthouse, but if that were true, and the case had already been filed, basically anyone with internet access could check and see if it was true.
Since then, we have not been able to find any evidence on Ash's side proving that she is suing Onision, because the court cases cannot be private and need to be reported in law. Allegedly, she claims she needs to fly to Washington to file a paperwork, but earlier in one of her Onision videos, she said that she could mail in her paperwork.
I don't know how to fucking articulate this, I'm so sorry. Basically, for most counties and states, you would have to just mail them paper, which is the old-fashioned way, but in his county, you can just do it online, which is really cool and it's really easy. But unfortunately, my roommate had already printed out paperwork for me, so I just filled it out and sent it to them instead. Because why not? I didn't want to waste a tree, okay?
So now we have two different claims made at different times by Ash herself, arguing that the paperwork was being filed, and how it was being filed. There was even a potentially later date she could have filed these papers on, and we will go into that towards the end.
Her time frames and her positioning when it comes to the alleged court case is very confusing, and it doesn't make sense when put into the perspective of a crowdfunded lawsuit. The money for the suit was raised, according
according to Ash, as a means of living expenses for her being in Washington. It was primarily travel money. However, Ash is now back home, which seems weird if the lawsuit had actually been filed, because that suit will require her to be in Washington for a court case.
We also should bring up how we were confused on why Ash extended her trip when all of this started, because we knew that it would eat more into the travel expenses.
Additionally, if the money had been crowdfunded, then the funds she has available for this case are limited.
Personally, not going home instead of just doing it in the time frame she originally was planning to would just be eating more into the money without using it for its intended purpose. Now, granted, if something came up and there was a certain amount within the crowdfunded money the user instances were something unknown, that would be one thing. But Ash actively changing plans and changing up her travel arrangements and during the time of the trip would eat into the funds that usually did exist for self-limitations, which begs the question of what the funds were specifically being used for.
If Ash had enough of her own money to get herself high